Morning to you.
Good morning, fellas. Great to be on the show again. What a great weekend of footy it was. Week one of finals.
Cracking. The fact that we've had two sudden death games, like the two games were performance of excellence from teams 1 and 2, then the two sudden death, and every game from now sudden death. So the bar has been set high, in particular by the Knights and Raiders yesterday. Cameron, straight off the top, here's a question for you. Brandy is a fan. Like, if we're going to have extra time during the season, Brandy wants it to remain as golden point. I've got a leaning towards if we have to have it, if the players abide, we go with a 5 each way every time. Is that asking too much of the players? Like, it just seems fairer that you go the extra 10 rather than just the field goal shootout. Like, there might be just one set in extra time and team kicks field goal and the other team don't even touch the ball. Yeah,
look, I think I'm with Brandy on this one, Vossy. I think if we're going to ask the players to play extra time, I think it's just a straight golden point. I do understand. I do get why we go extra time in finals, though. But regular season, let's keep it golden point. It's exciting.
All right. So it's not too much to expect to the players in finals, though. Is that what you're saying? It's not. They've got big match now.
But they're only got a couple of. Well, once final starts, a new competition. Yeah. So once finals start, I'm happy to go with the extra time. I think through the regular season, do we know how many golden point games did we have this year? I'll leave that with all our helpers, all our staff,
our stats.
Charlie's looking it up now.
Charlie, good sir.
Cam, something that I raised with Vossy and didn't really think about it until this morning. But I had to be reminded that we were going to extra time, not golden point. Yes. And I think most of the players were extra time. Hang on, it's not golden point. I think, and I think they would have gone into that game not even thinking about the extra time period and what sort of tactics they would employ during that time. Because if I was Canberra, and I said it through the call, I said I'd be kicking a field goal when I first got down there, and they had a chance, but they put the crossfield kick in. Yeah, I don't think many teams had really given too much thought about the 5 minutes extra time strategy.
Well, that's the importance of having discussions around your plans, right, and understanding scenarios, because, like you said, it's completely different to the regular season. So if that was golden point, if that was a regular season game, I'm sure the Raiders would have taken a shot at field goal.
Absolutely,
to try and seal the game right there. So I think teams, particularly that we're watching on yesterday afternoon, they may look now in these coming weeks to go, wow, like, okay, well, what is our plan? What's our strategy if we go to extra time? Because it's a possibility, right, over the next few weeks that there's a game that goes to extra time. Do you take the points on offer straight away? Do you go ahead? For mine, I like going ahead.
Absolutely.
Take the point while it's on offer. Like, if you can't be separated after 80, you got to think to yourself, what's the chances of the opposition scoring in the next 5 minute halves, like the next 10-minute period, if we can't be separated in the 80? So take the one while you're ahead, and then try and defend that lead.
Because it is only 5 minutes, Cam, too. And that 5 minutes disappears very quickly. It's only a couple of sets each. You mightn't get into a position to kick a field goal. And I know we can kick field goals from 40 metres out these days, but I'm with you. I was get the points on the board, put scoreboard pressure on the opposition, and you're talking about setups too. And just watching the Roosters and the Sharks had 2 field goals charged down, and I think the second one they got themselves too close to the try line.
Close.
Well, and gave Luke Keary an opportunity, because I'm pretty sure it was 2 metres inside the 10, so Keary's only back 8. Keary was able to get to the kicker because they just went too close. So you need to nail those situations, don't you? Like when you're setting up for a field goal, you've got to know exactly where you're going and where you want to be.
Well, coming into this part of the year, you would think that those sides involved with the finals are practicing these things at training. So they're actually setting up. So, as I said before, they have these scenarios in their training session. So whether it be at the end, Brandy, where you go, okay, boys, we're going to practice a couple of field goal sets. Okay, where do we want to be best positioned? How are we going to make it hard for the opposition to come out and charge us down, as well as being in the right position for my kicker to be confident that he'll nail it.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Most kickers in the NRL, they should be comfortable having a shot from
Kicking
30
anywhere.
out. 30 out.
Well, and
30 out in front.
most positions. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So-
agree. If I was the Cronulla kicker, and my blokes were running too close, I would have actually grabbed him and dragged him back out behind, away from the 10. Come back. You're going too far.
Reverse.
Yes.
Well, the opposite happened again. Zach Wolford, he is the best at doing the pole drive tackle. Did you see Canberra when he was pushing the set? He just gets involved in the tackle. He advances the attacker 10 metres forward downfield. He just pushes and pushes. That's one little rule that should be outlined. I've just wondered whether we could play a little quiz game here. Who kicked the more field goals in their career, Greg Alexander or Cameron Smith?
Well,
With our
I think
listeners
Brandy.
for a
Brandy.
Stick to Boost Power Bank. Yeah,
No,
you think so?
well, I only
I'm saying
kicked.
Brandy.
I think I kicked 14. Andrew.
Killed,
Only
yeah,
14.
Killed
Well, geez, that's the end of the quiz. You just ended that.
Yes.
Just blew that out of the park.
I
Cameron's
kicked 4 Vossy.
4. Yeah, you kicked 4,
Yeah,
Cameron.
there you go.
You kicked 4. One was that game at Brookvale. Remember, Manly started the
Yes.
year where you're defending
one.
that great record of never losing opening round matches. And
Yeah.
Cameron, you looked surprised you kicked it that night. I thought, I'm just trying to remember the elation. You looked, gee, I kicked that.
That was, I think that was our very first. That was my very first field goal in first grade.
Yeah,
Vossy.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. So and that, I think I was surprised that we got that win because I think it was something like 16 or 20.
You were down by a heap.
half-time.
You were down by a heap. But are you telling the listener now that even though you hadn't kicked a field, that is a rehearsed play? You had at training. You'd worked a set up. You'd practiced whether it happened in a game. Might happen for 5 years, but you knew, and it would depend where you want to finish up, whether you're left or right kicker, of course, wouldn't it? Which side of the post you want to be on, where you want to be.
Well, that's right. And we'd done plenty of field goal practice, of course. Cooper Cronk was our main field goal guy, right? But he wasn't playing in that game. So all I had to do, him being a right footer, all we had to do was just flip sides where we wanted to finish to play the ball for me being a left footer. So we just wanted to be outside the right post to give myself a shot right in front of the uprights.
Did you kick a field goal in that great game at Suncorp Stadium against the Roosters? Was that you that kicked that?
No,
Oh,
you know who that was? That was
Papenhuyzen, wasn't
Ryan
it?
Papenhuyzen.
Yeah,
Oh, that was
Papenhuyzen.
Ryan
Yeah, it was
Papenhuyzen.
Ryan. Yeah.
Yes.
One of the
Gee, that
great
was a game.
games.
Yep.
Great games. Played in front of no one, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's
played
right.
that game in front of no one. That's why I've always admired it as one of the best games I've ever had the privilege of calling, is that you guys put on that sort of quality in front of no one.
No crowd. Yeah. Yeah,
What a game.
I think there was about 8,000 people there, something like that.
Yeah, you know what I mean, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cam, did you catch the golf update this morning?
Oh, I missed it.
Well,
No, you missed
okay,
it.
I'll update it for you. Minjee
Okay,
Lee
yeah.
has gone on to win the Kroger Queen City International at Cincinnati. She birdied the second playoff hole with a great approach shot, which was 2 feet away. She sunk the putt, so she beat Charlie Hull from England after leading all the way through. Charlie Hull had a run of birdies late in the round to square up, but she won the playoff in the second hole. So great stuff there from Minjee Lee.
Yeah, that was with gusto,
Well
that golf
done.
report too. Now, Cameron, another issue, biting. Okay, so we've got this case, and I said right off the top of the show this morning that it was the clearest bite/suck we'd ever seen. I mean, to see a close-up of the arm, there's dribble on it. There's the 2 marks, and there's slobber. I mean, I've never seen anything more graphic in terms of an incident as a kind.
Yep.
Was the referee obliged to send off? We're saying it is a bit odd that Jack White just gets up and plays the ball.
Yeah.
Do you know what we're saying? You put on report,
Yep.
but he plays the ball, that there isn't actually any penalty. Are you comfortable with that?
No, not really. No. And I'm look, I don't think any of us want to be controversial this morning, but watching that game yesterday afternoon, I nearly fell off my chair when Ashley Klein put Jack White on report, but then said, look, we're just going to play the ball and play on. Like, absolutely no action at all. I thought he was going to go. I thought he was going to at least go to the sin bin. At least. I think that's as clear as a bite as you can get, isn't it?
Well, for
Like,
evidence, yeah.
Yeah,
You
for
can't-
evidence, as evidence is
Yes,
concerned.
that's right.
Like, I know, there's this whole sort of, thought process around, well, don't put your arm up around someone's mouth. I get that. But I think the cameras caught the image on his arm quite clearly. That there was some teeth marks there. Like,
teeth marks. And still glistening. And glistening.
And if you actually think about it, when people say, well, he jammed his arm in there really hard, if you force your arm into someone's mouth, your teeth aren't going to bite down on your arm. Like, you're just going to force someone's mouth wider open and you just jam it down further. You know what I mean? If you actually think about it, it's not going to force anyone's teeth into your arm. So, given we seen at the start of this year, I think was it Ashley Werner from
for the NRLW,
Broncos,
she was sent off.
Sent off, and then got 2 weeks for it when she went to the judiciary. So, I'm going to be honest here, fellas. I don't think the officials wanted anything to do with having a say in the result yesterday. That's what it was. That's what it was.
They were happy just to let it go and leave it with the match review committee.
Exactly.
They didn't want a player sent off and someone down to 12 men.
Yep.
I think you could be right. Now, we just mentioned Ryan Papenhuyzen. Shocking with what happened to him on the weekend. But good news that it wasn't a compound fracture and that, it's a long, hard road to recovery and back onto the field. But there's certainly light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, well, that's the positive news coming out of the injury, isn't it? That it wasn't a compound fracture. And I actually seen Ryan, although he wouldn't remember, he was heavily sedated when I was coming out to do the post match show at Suncorp, and I sort of the staff, the medical staff, they were pretty confident it wasn't a compound fracture. They just cut his footy boot off his foot and had a close look at it first up. So. And went in that night, so all the medical people and the doctors, I know the Melbourne Storm were very grateful for them coming in late at night on a Friday.
Yeah, the best surgeon apparently available was called in. He was doing maybe in bed, who knows? But
I think he was.
Called in and answered the call.
Yeah. Well, I seen the doctor. So Matt Hislop was the doctor for the Broncos, who was a former doctor for the Melbourne Storm. I seen him. He tweeted that that the surgeon come in well after hours to perform that procedure on Ryan. So, look, it's terrible. It's devastating for him personally and the Melbourne Storm Footy Club and their fans that, he's only 4 games back from that horror knee injury that he suffered last year, and now he's got the broken leg. But he'll be back. He's 25. He's 25 years of age. We're all feeling for him that he now has to go through another long recovery injury from injury, but the best thing about it is, one, they fixed it up very quickly, no issues through the surgery, and he's 25, so there's a good chance
totally
he can come back and
unrelated to the other injury.
Again.
So he has a clean slate in dealing with this injury, if you will. It's just mentally how tough it must be for him. Cameron, I thought out of the weekend 1-2, so the clear gap between teams 1 and 2 based on performance that. Almost to the point, could be injustice if they don't make the grand final against each other. Yeah. What's your power rankings, if you will, out of the weekend? We know we've got a 1-2. We've got 6 teams in contention. Rank them now for me, Cameron. Is that hard? Can you rank them 1 to 6?
Okay, I've got Penrith on top still. Okay, I've got Penrith on top. Although there's some people sort of leaning towards the Broncos. I've got Penrith on top, given what they've done in the last 3 seasons. So they're tried and tested. They're tried and tested. So you know exactly what they're going to bring throughout the next couple of weeks. Then I've got clearly the Broncos. They're sitting second for me, and it was a powerhouse performance, wasn't it? Powerhouse. Like they absolutely dominated the Storm from start to end.
Yep. Right from the the opening 5 minutes, the danger that they presented on the edges, both sides of the ruck, had Melbourne Storm's defence scrambling already, even early in the match. The speed of the Brisbane team with their footwork and Melbourne were making tackles, legs and jerseys. They weren't getting good contact because they were under threat immediately from the players. And when you look at that Brisbane side, it's a quick, athletic, skillful side. There's points on both sides of the ruck. The points, the dangers come from everywhere.
Yeah. They And that was my concern about that week one game for Melbourne was that, how are they going to contain, firstly, their big men who create so much go forward, but then their edges are just so dynamic. And that's where Melbourne got found out, right, was out in their edges. And then, but when they had the ball, they got completely dominated. They were actually bullied by the Broncos early on. They roughed them up. They got under their skin. You could see a couple of the key position players for Melbourne, sort of they were distracted. They were distracted, and it was the way and it showed with the way they played as well. They were completely out of sync on different pages when they had the football.
Well, Brandy's distracted you from giving us a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Very quickly.
Sorry, I'll continue.
If you've got Penrith 1, Broncos 2, put them in order.
They're
the
the
rest
easy
of them.
ones. Now try and rank the other 4.
Just off the weekend.
3. Yeah,
yep,
just
off the
weekend. Give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Off the weekend, I'm going to go Knights 3.
Knights 3. Yep.
Then I'm going to go Storm.
Storm 4.
Yep. Then I'm going to go Roosters and then Warriors.
Roosters and Warriors. Okay, that's the power rankings of Cameron Smith. You can have your say right here. Lots of texts coming in. We'll read them in just a moment. 0457736736 is the text number. Breakfast with Vossy and Brandy and the GOAT Cameron Smith in this hour on the Monday morning.